We're going to continue with our HTML5 template. We're going to do a couple of small minor modifications to the basic template. Then we're going to create a section template from it. You'll be using the section template to complete the student web page assignments that I have for the fundamentals class. Okay, so I'm back in Dreamweaver, and this is the page that we started to develop for our basic template. I'm in the split view, so you can see this is the content, and there's nothing in there yet, and this is the code. I'm going to go to code view because that's kind of distracting, and we're going to make a couple of additional changes here. So first off, we want to go ahead and set the language attribute. And so again, I'll just use Dreamweaver's drop down, grab a language, and I want this to be English, so EN is the setting for that. And then here in the head, I want to also add a viewport, and I'm just going to paste that in, and then I'll show you that here. So, whoops, looks like I copied a little bit more than I needed. I don't need to have that twice. Let me take that back out. So again, as I mentioned, the head has information about the document, which we call the meta information, and then the body has the content. And so one of the things we have here is meta name equals viewport, content equals width equal device dot width, initial scale equals 1, maximum scale equals 1. Basically, those are things that make the page work better when it's displayed on a mobile device. And so we're going to kind of use that as boilerplate and place it here. So let's go ahead and save our basic template. So now we're done with the basic template. Okay, now I'm about to create the section template. And so I want to keep my basic template separate. So I'll use the file, save as, and I'm just going to change the name here, and that'll create a new file, of course. And so in addition to the basic template, I'm going to have a section template. All right. And so what happens is the section is the semantic markup that goes in the body. And so basically what happens is you have a section container. And notice how I sort of work inside out. So I'll create the open and closing tag for the container as I go. And also you might notice that as soon as I type this beginning part of the closing tag, Dreamweaver completed the rest of the tag for me. That's a nice thing. So one thing you'll find here is it gets kind of confusing as the nested markup gets deeper and deeper. And so it's really convenient that the editor has that matching for us. Okay? So within the section, we're going to have a header, a footer, and a main section. So first I'll create the header. And then immediately I'll create a closing tag for that. I'll hit enter to create a new line. I'll go ahead and put in the main section. Again, I'll close that. Whoops. You see where I kind of fat-fingered that? So it didn't find that, so I can just go ahead and type main in and then complete it there. Usually the autocomplete works pretty well, but sometimes not. All right, let's go ahead and add a footer. And there we go. Okay, so this is our template for a section. It's really done now. And I'll just go ahead and save this. And we can go ahead and put some more content in here. But you might want to save this by itself. So what's going to happen is you're going to create a series of pages for your student website. And each of those pages will have the same kind of structure. So you use the section template for that. You can see that I already have a title here. And that title will be the same. So I'm going to go ahead and add some of the content now, but I don't want to go too far beyond what the template will have in it. So in the header, let's just go ahead and add an on-screen display title. So I'm going to open the header up by hitting enter, inserting some lines, and then I'm going to put an H1 heading, and it's really important here not to confuse head, header, and heading. Those are all separate things. And then the heading basically will have an on-screen title. Often this is the same as the title of the page. So I'll just go ahead and snag this, Control-C to copy, Control-V to paste, and then I'll put a closing tag in there. So let me go ahead and save that, Control-S, and if I now go to Design View, you can see that it's showing that page. I'm still not sure why it's not showing my background color. Let's go on back to our browser where I've opened the page locally. If I reload the browser, interesting. Oh, the browser is looking at my basic template. So I have to go ahead and change this. Let me just close this, and I'll go back into Dreamweaver. And the way to preview your page is to click on that little world icon and pick the browser. So since I just used Firefox, I'll go ahead and use Chrome this time. So here we are in Chrome. You notice I've got Chrome open already. I have a bunch of tabs. And there's that title, which is the H1 heading. So Tom Wolf's UC file space page. Okay? All right. I'll go ahead and minimize this. And again, now I'm in Design View. There's Split View. And there's Code View. All right? So basically, I've gone ahead and created this template for the section, and it has the header, and within the header it has the heading. Now the other thing it'll have here is going to be a nav section, and I'm going to go ahead and put this in, but I won't actually fill any of the navigation links in yet. But that's going to be a big part of the basic template, and so I'll go ahead and save that. The section template, sorry, not the basic template. So again, the basic template didn't have any of the content. It just had an empty body. The section template has the section content in it. And what you're going to use for your student web pages for this course is going to be your section template. And then eventually you'll use your jQuery mobile template as well. Okay, real quickly, let's just put some content here in the how about a horizontal rule? So this is one of the so-called singleton tags, where it doesn't have an opening and closing tag. It's just a single tag. And I like to write these with this style, although you can also write it without that. But I think it's kind of better to get in the habit of doing that. Okay. What that's going to do is that's going to put a horizontal line across the screen. So Control-S, let me go to Split View, and if I click over here, there's the horizontal line. Now the reason it's up at the top right now is there's no other content, pardon me, no other content between this heading and the header, and the footer. But eventually what will happen is I add the content in here is that'll move down. So this is going to be at the very bottom of the page. That's why it's called a footer. And immediately after that, I want to go ahead and put my copyright in here. And so the way that I do that is I have to use a thing called a character entity to represent the copyright symbol. And character entities start with an ampersand like this. And then if you notice there, Dreamweaver popped up a little list. So these are for symbols that I can't typically print from the keyboard, or special symbols that would screw up the markup. So for instance, if I want to use a less than or a greater than, it would interpret that as part of a tag, and instead I'll use a character entity. So LT for less than, GT for greater than. So the one for this is called copy, and you can see that the IntelliSense is showing that now. Is that right? Nope, not quite. So it's down there at the bottom. So I'll cruise down to the bottom, and this is the syntax for these. So the character entities start with the ampersand, they end with a semicolon. This can either be a known entity or it can be a hexadecimal character code. So in this case, this is a known entity. And then I'll just go ahead and put the date, 2014, and Tom Wolf. And I'll go ahead and save that. And if I click over here, you can see that it updated the information. Okay, let's just pop really quickly back into Chrome. Again, I have to reload Chrome to have it show the page. There's the rest of the content they added to the page. Okay, so we have finished now our HTML section template, and it's ready to be used. Let me go to Code View again here. And it's ready to be reused. So the way I'm going to use this, and I have a video that shows this, is when I start to make a new page, I'll load the section template and then immediately use the Save As to save a new copy of it with the name that I want for the new page. Okay? All right, that's pretty good. We got pretty far here. We've just created our basic page. And in the lecture, I'll talk about what these elements mean and more about the structure. But I think you're in a good shape here. You can see we have the doc type. Then we have an HTML container with an opening and closing tag that contains the entire document. And then we have a language attribute that is important. It says the page is in English. And then the page structure, it has a head, which begins and ends with open and closing tag, and a body. And then within the body section, the section style structure has a section, and that contains a header, a footer, and a main section. And later on, we'll see that most of our content will go here in main. All right, that's pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and stop this.